Thank you very much. My name is Chuck Ferry. I'm the CEO for DUOT Technologies. Next chart, please. This is our normal statement. I'm not going to try and read this. Thank you. Okay, so we are a company out of Jacksonville, Florida. We're a small technology company that specializes in software, machine vision, and artificial intelligence. We're a company size of about 70 or so employees right now out of Jacksonville, Florida. And although we're small, we are publicly traded on the NASDAQ under DUOT. Inside our company, we have a very large bevy and collection of highly talented engineers across all the software, IT, hardware, and artificial intelligence functions, as well as a very robust program management team because we do all of our own installations out in the field. And then we also do most of our manufacturing as well as supervise outside manufacturers. Brief history. The company has been around for a bit. I've been with the company now for about 18 months. Prior to coming to DUOT Technologies, I ran an energy company that was a little over $300 million per year. We built power plants around the world. Prior to that, I ran a defense contracting company that went from about $80 million a year to about $200 million a year in about 4 years flat. Terrific growth there. And then prior to that, I spent 26 years in the U.S. Army leading infantry and special operations units with multiple combat tours in some of the garden spots around the world. The company's been in both the security as well as the artificial intelligence space now for a number of years. It's been public since 2015. It was uplisted to the NASDAQ right when about COVID started, and it is still, and we've got some great things that are going on. Again, I've already talked about myself. We've got a terrific team, and one of the coolest things is we're going to try and show you is this video, which is going to do a much better explanation of what we actually do, and I think it'll be a lot less boring to me showing you a bunch of charts. So let's see if I can make this work. And we're going to make this work.
John, Chief Technology Officer share with you some technology. The average railcar contains hundreds of mechanical parts and components. A large number of these are critical to the proper function of the railcar and must be inspected frequently to ensure safe and reliable operation. So, more than 1.6 million railcars running on almost 200,000 miles of track, this is small work that major railroad companies must increasingly call for advanced technologies to help keep their operations safe, reliable, and efficient. Technologies is into the call with the railcar inspection. By harnessing the power of technology to develop and apply innovative, purpose-built solutions, the railcar inspection portal automatically detects anomalies and mechanical issues at track speed and unintrusive touchless manner. Speed, high resolution, almost impossible image acquisition is in and of itself not short of amazing. The real value of railcar inspection for lies in the ability to process that images, automatically detect anomalies in mere seconds. That's the job of artificial intelligence. Effective expert artificial intelligence at this scale is only achieved through the careful orchestration of highly specialized skill set ranging from machine vision, data science, and algorithm development. But it all starts by having a deep understanding of exactly what it is that we're trying to detect on the strength of. What are we looking for? What anomalies are we trying to find? What conditions can we expect to find on some types of train cars versus other types? To gain such a deep understanding, we need a subject matter expert. I often tell people that I meet that DUOT is the only company that I know of that doesn't own or operate a single train, a single railcar, or even an engine track. But we have full-time experienced railcar mechanics on our staff. That's because these are the subject matter experts. With their intimate familiarity of the mechanical complexities of railcars, they provide the deep knowledge that is used to build comprehensive training sets for our AI algorithms. Centrico is a browser-based application that users access to view high-resolution train car images in real time and to review detections that have been made by our AI algorithms. The intuitive user interface has been thoughtfully designed to provide easy access to everything the Railcar Inspection Portal has to offer. The process of detecting anomalies on train cars using AI is fairly complex, but if we map out what's happening to the data as it's acquired, we can get a better feel for what's going on. First, the train enters the portal, where an array of sensing devices and cameras work to capture and produce a 360 view of each train car. That's the complete size, top, and even the underside. In addition to these are images acquired from specialized oblique cameras that are configured to capture snapshots of the oblique angle of certain parts. As the image data is acquired, straight to a cache, that's basically a temporary holding unit. Then a suite of sophisticated software is used to stitch, parse, further process the image into meaningful chunks. In this case, into complete images related to a single train car. The Centrico application and services then combines these with related sensor data and other metadata and stores them in the database and on an array of file servers. At roughly the same time, the images are transmitted to the TrueView 360 gateway, our AI inferencing server, where the AI algorithms inspect the images, perform sophisticated object detection, and attempt to detect anomalies on each train car. When an anomaly is found, detailed information about the anomaly is sent back to Centrico, where it is stored and indexed for later retrieval. Although there's a lot going on here, it is important to remember that all of this happens in mere seconds, and someone using the Centrico application typically sees this happening in real time. In order to ensure quality results and continuous improvement, TrueView sometimes first places detection results at a special queue known as the human in the loop queue, instead of sending them directly back to Centrico. The human in the loop queue is monitored and managed 24/7 by trained personnel to validate questionable detections before releasing the results back to Centrico. The real-time decision to route the AI results to the human in the loop queue rather than Centrico is based on a number of factors, including the calculated confidence of each detection. Finally, quality AI and machine learning results depend on accurate algorithms and quality training sets. And that includes the periodic retraining of these algorithms using fresh source images, updated training sets, and historical detection information obtained from production. In an out-of-band process and operating completely behind the scenes, Centrico transmits selected source images and detection information to DUOT's TrueView 360 dataset, where the information is used and updated the algorithm. For all of us here at DUOT, it's easy to get lost in all of the cool technology and amazing things that our teams are able to create with advanced optics and lighting, power management and distribution, high-speed acquisition, storage of high-resolution images, the development, training, integration of complex algorithms that perform detections, and the seamless presentation and exchange of all of this information. It's amazing to see how all of the complexity, sophistication, and really the preciseness of the system culminates in a simple solution for the customer. And at the end of the day, that's what we're working for, a solution that provides value for the customer, resulting in a safer and more efficient operation. Hi, I'm Jeff John.
Okay, so basically what we do is we install a large car garage on top of a set of railroad tracks. It's stuffed full of sensors, and a train goes flying through it at about 50 to 60, 70 miles an hour. We snap images, top, sides, and bottom, through a set of high-speed IT computing and software and artificial intelligence. We render a report to a customer in about 3 to 5 minutes flat with everything that's wrong with that particular train. Sometimes these trains, what they call train consists, can be anywhere from 1.5 miles long. And so currently right now, why is this important? Well, there's lots of technology that can scan moving objects. Right now, there's an outfit called the Federal Rail Administration, or FRA. It falls underneath the Department of Transportation. And for many, many, many years, regulators, and we think this is important, regulate that every single train before it leaves the station has to be inspected by mechanical car inspectors. So these are, rough blue-collar workers that are, in their coveralls and their boots and their hard hats, out with flashlights, flipboards, measurement gauges, and they literally have to walk up and down the train. And sometimes it could take several hours to scan these trains to make sure that they're safe, or they cut out cars, do all this sort of stuff. Our technology basically allows this to happen, very, very quickly while it's on the move, and basically it can allow the rail companies to do predictive maintenance. So when the trains are coming inbound to the station, they can accelerate, how fast they can do the maintenance and do all kinds of things with that. But then when the trains are outbound, it can also massively accelerate this. This particular technology that we have been providing over here on the left, it shows kind of our base model. This is what we call our first generation portal. It can see anywhere from 20 to 25 individual inspection points on each individual car. We've introduced to one of our customers, it's Canadian National, a more advanced version. It basically is an additional add-on to the first version, where we can now see about upwards of over 90 individual inspection points in each individual car. Some of the Class 1 rail companies that we work for right now, Canadian National, CSX, Kansas City Southern, and Amtrak, are basically introducing this into their workflow. That being said, the real catalyst for us is that eventually, through the Federal Rail Administration and through regulation, the requirement to do actual personal inspections with people will eventually be allowed to be either augmented with at first and then ultimately replaced with this mechanical inspection, which we've already shown through data is more accurate. These are some of the images, and if you look on this image down here on the far bottom left, you can actually see the embossed writing on that coupler, and this is from a bottom view. Again, that's a photograph that's been taken at 70 miles an hour. This is an example of our Centrico software or user interface. All of the software is developed, designed, and maintained all in-house by our software developers. And then inside, we also do our own artificial intelligence. So a lot of companies actually outsource their AI. All of this is done in-house with us. Recently, over the last year or so, we've made some significant upgrades, mostly by investing in people, by adding additional talent inside our software, our hardware, and especially in our artificial intelligence teams, which is also included. I've only been with the company for 18 months. When I first got there, I'm like, why don't I have railcar inspectors inside my company? We fixed that. We got some really terrific, very, very talented and motivated folks now, and that has significantly improved the artificial intelligence and the accuracy of it as it's deployed now out in the field. Obviously, you can use this with moving and speeding rail cars inside the rail industry itself. Obviously, we're currently doing mostly freight rail. We've recently been awarded work again with Amtrak. So we are obviously now doing passenger rail. And there's a lot of, with all of the infrastructure bill that has recently been passed, there's tremendous opportunity for us inside both passenger rail and transit rail as that stands. The application, we also have an application that we use inside the trucking industry. We do service one large retail customer where we basically use similar technology, but we scan trucks as they're coming in and out of large logistics yards. Again, you can imagine the long lines of trucks and kind of not so happy truck drivers waiting to get their loads in and out of a large yard. And so we've got a system that helps automate that. And that's an area that we're looking to expand and, if you will, diversify the business. Earlier this year, I had a very interesting and productive discussion with one of the United States' largest air carriers. And that was talking about the concept of an aircraft inspection portal, where basically an aircraft would land, taxi down the runway, slow down, turn left on the taxiway, get scanned, and before it hits the gate, a visual inspection has been done of that aircraft. And the operations team that now is going to receive that aircraft already has the information that they need, combined with the information that's being data flowed off the aircraft itself. And those are those are some of the things that we're looking at here for the future. And that's kind of where I talked about our strategy. We don't want to be just in the rail sector. We definitely want to be expanding ourselves into both the truck and the aircraft industry. And there's also some opportunities about how we manage data. So today, a lot of you, if you have a technology background, know that cloud computing has always been the rage. Now, because of the amount of data that we're trying to push to devices and to the edge, now edge computing is now come into full force, especially with the introduction of 5G. We currently operate today 11 to 12 edge data centers at each of our rail inspection portal locations. And we also maintain a 24/7 operation center or network operation center to maintain those edge data centers. So we're kind of helping, we're kind of already in this business. And then again, this is an area that we're currently exploring to help diversify the business. I joined the company 18 months ago. I'm not the founder. I replaced the founder who retired. And the shareholders asked me to try to, realize the potential that this company had. So we have been involved in the last 18 months or so in turning the business around, which is largely, and I've done this before with several other companies, which largely involves making sure that you get the right people on the staff. We've invested quite a bit of our money, largely in people, having the right talent and the right skill sets in the right place for us. We spent a lot of time thinking about that. I consider myself the company's lead recruiter, quite frankly. It's all about getting that right talent, especially down those technical skill sets, which I am not. We had, like all businesses, we've cycled through the COVID challenge. We've also dealt with supply chain issues. We've moved most of our suppliers that we used to have overseas for either raw material or manufactured goods, and we've moved that back to the United States. And in many cases, a lot of our local fabricators now are actually in northern Florida, where now my guys can actually go see them, look at them face to face to make sure that the product is correct and we get it on time. That personal relationship makes a big difference. We finished last year around $8 million top line revenue. And this year we've given guidance that we'll make $16.5 to $18 million of revenue. So we'll about double our revenue. I'm not saying that just because it's something nice to say. That's actually in contract backlog. We had some great commercial success towards the end of last year, first part of this year, and that has largely been driven by the improvements that have been made in the business with our current customers, gaining much more confidence in us. It also is largely driven by the artificial intelligence that we had promised customers, but really wasn't working the way it really should have been. After we introduced the improvements, better people, brought in more expertise, now those algorithms are really firing it out of the park right now. And that's been really responsible for that commercial success. On top of that $18 million, we are pursuing a number of opportunities that could potentially add to that, but we've tried to be very conservative. By nature, I'm generally conservative. I like to deliver what I say. And so we're in a pretty good spot right now, probably better than the company's been here in the last few years. We are taking in a lot of inquiries from the trucking industry, also from the airline industry, but also international customers, particularly with rail. So we've taken a lot of inquiries in from the likes of like India, Saudi Arabia, Australia. They're looking to make some similar advances that the Class 1 railroads have here in the United States and Canada. So overall right now, why should you invest in our company? Number one, we have technology that is groundbreaking, quite frankly, right this moment. We need to be careful about this. We don't really have any head-to-head competitors with the solution that we're currently doing. There are other companies that do have wayside detection systems. They're a little more focused on one or two parts of the train as opposed to the holistic look at what we do. We are going to grow this year. At the same time, from a cash liquidity standpoint, which a company our size always has to be careful about. Again, this is one of the smaller companies that I've run. So I look at my cash every day with the help of my CFO, Adrian Goldfarb. He's here down at the front. You can come ask him later. But our cash position right now is significantly better than it was a year ago. and the outlook looks for us looks to be outstanding. And quite frankly, this is the year that we're looking to get to a break-even position. That $18 million of top-line revenue will not get us to break even, but just a little bit more than that, we will get to break even and get to be a profitable, big boy business like the previous ones that I've run. You can see our consolidated financial statement. I'm not going to really hit these too much. If you want to get into our financial statements, obviously you can see them. If you haven't already looked at them, you can come down and talk to Adrian here afterwards about that. On our balance sheet right now, again, from a cash perspective, which is the biggest thing that I've been looking at here recently, we're in a very, very good position right now. We did do a raise earlier this year, and that raise was primarily designed to take in a little bit more cash and improve our working capital position, because all of the orders that we had taken in at the end of last year require us to invest, obviously, to procure all that material, manufacture it, and get it out the door. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we did that particular raise. Our cap structure, this is my first time that I've been a public company CEO, so I'm not going to play like I'm an expert. You can talk to that guy right there. You guys are probably better at it than I am. My impression is, like all CEOs, I've learned that I don't think I'm valued enough right now, but that's okay. Quite frankly, the current shareholders that we have, I am also a shareholder and have equity in the company. We're here for the long term. And I was just talking to a couple of my shareholders, because right now the market's taking quite a beating right now. And they just reminded me, Chuck, don't worry about the price of the stock right now. Worry about the long-term viability of the company, and that will come. And so that's the attitude that we have. So if you were to invest in us, then I just want you to know that up front. You can contact us. We also have Faye Kwong, who's here, our investor relations, and I'd be happy to take any questions with the time remaining that we have. Yes, sir.
What kind of liability do you take inspections?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of liability around operating railroads, but that's a great question. So right now, as it currently stands under all of our current contracts, because they still are required by regulation to do the physical inspections, although they can be augmented by us right now, there's no liability on us. And the contracts we have right now kind of remove us from any real liability. Now, we do maintain, obviously, insurances and things like that. But on a go-forward basis, if we become the single point of inspection, that's something that the company, and we've talked about this with our board members, we would have to re-examine exactly where we're at from a liability standpoint. I think, by and large, right now, the conversations that we've had with the railroads is that they know that we're not going to be able to take on the full liability that they currently go with. So we've got about a minute left to take another question if we have one. Yes, sir, in the back.
I saw a picture where it looked like the train was in motion as it's going underneath the bracket.
That's right.
Is that the idea? What's the top speed?
Yeah, right now with the current systems we have out in the field right now, we're hitting about 70 miles an hour, and we can take absolutely fabulous images and do what we need to do. We're in a contract right now with Amtrak. We're actually going to accelerate that speed, potentially up to as high as 120 miles an hour. And we've got my engineers, especially my hardware engineers. It's about camera speed and things like that. We have the technology to do that, and we'll roll that out here in the next year or so.
Track inspections?
We do not do any track inspections. No. However, the technology can be applied to track inspection. And automated track inspection is actually another large sector of opportunity, particularly for the railroads. Yes.
Best practice.
I don't know how often the wheels actually fail, because I'm not an actual railcar guy. I can get you that answer. But I will tell you that wheels and brakes, as it relates to passenger and freight cars, is the number one issue and around the rail cars themselves. And then the actual condition of the track that those wheels or brakes ride on is probably one of the other biggest factors that the railroads factor. I think we got about 30 seconds, so then she's going to kick me off. Go ahead.
The revenue composition, is it more just a hardware portal with cameras and software, and you turn it over to the railroads? Or do you guys use this, or they use like you guys are a managed service, but then you do the AI work?
So we have a combination of both. It's a hybrid. So right now, about 70 to 80% of our revenue is kind of what we'll call one-time revenue, where we, flog off, a big set of hardware and stuff, right? And the Class 4 railroads kind of like to own their stuff. That being said, another 20% of it, we do have service and maintenance contracts with all of the customers that we currently have. It also includes what I'll call a recurring revenue related to artificial intelligence development, deployment, and maintenance. So, and one of the goals of the company has always been, we've talked about this, is actually increasing the percentage of that recurring revenue, because right now we're a little lumpy. I know that, and we're trying to take that lumpiness out, one, by improving recurring revenue, but also increasing our customer base, and then trying to get across those other verticals like any other business. Okay, I think we'll stop there. Thank you very, very much. Myself and my team are available afterwards for everybody that'd like to talk to us. Thank you.